Welcome to the Leader Diaries podcast, where everyone has a story and every story is a diary worth sharing. The goal of this podcast is to help develop the leader within you so that you become a leader that produces leader. If this is your first time tuning in, I personally want to welcome and invite you to this journey of leadership. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Mohabir. I'm the host. I'm a 22-year-old who's educated on leadership. I've been working since I was 6 years old at my family-owned restaurant, where I understood the heart of leadership, which is to serve others. And I've experienced working at Fortune 500 firms. On today's episode, we have the privilege and honor of having John Register, who is a U.S. Army veteran who served in the Persian Gulf War and was training for the Olympic Games until a life-changing injury forced him to redefine everything. Instead of folding, he adapted. He went on to become a two-time Paralympic silver medalist in the long jump and a world champion, even founded the U.S. Olympic Committee Paralympics military sports program. Today, he's a keynote speaker and author who helps individuals and organizations navigate adversity. John, it's a pleasure to have you on here.
Justin, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I love what you're doing, the work that you're doing, the people you interview. You are just skyrocketing, my brothers. I'm really excited to be on here with you.
So before the stage, who is John Register at his core? And share us your diary.
I would say I'm a breather. What do I mean by that? I believe my God, Christ, has breathed life into me. And now it's my duty to reflect that life, to breathe life into others. That comes to the word inspiration, or the Latin, which is inspiro, which means to breathe into. And if I'm always breathing that life in other people, then there's going to be following after that vineyards of people that are also life breathers and breathing into other individuals so that dreams can manifest and you have the oxygen that is needed to sustain whatever it is that you want to put your mind to do, whatever you desire to do. And I say that because there are people out there that if you're not adding life, you're taking it away. There is no in between. Either a plant is growing or it's dying. It's there are only two options. And so we can say there are fence sitters out there, but you're either adding value to somebody's life or you are not. And I just choose to be in a position to, once again, my creators breathe life into me. I want to breathe that life into others. And that's really how I operate.
So would you say you're a multiplier?
I don't know if I'm the one that does the multiplying. So I'm not the one that's giving the seed. I've gotten the seed and I'm planting that seed and I'm finding anybody that I come in contact with. That's who I want to breathe that life into. So I'm not the one that's growing it. I don't think that's my responsibility to do it. But once I offer it, and once it's off, or vice versa, it's offered to me, now I have to do something with it. I have to make the choice. Am I going to elevate off of this or am I not? And I frame that through a framework of what I call amputate to elevate. So amputating is strategically subtracting things that no longer serve us to elevate to an existence that does.
Amputate to elevate. Now, that's powerful. And, share us like a little bit about your upbringing growing up and, who John was and the trials that presented in your life at a young age and how you adapted.
The first is my uncle and my dad. Uncle was Gloucester Current Sr. He was in charge of the March on Washington. So everybody that came in that day, platform speakers, including Dr. King, were under his purview to put on the platform that day for the March on Washington to speak. So I've been around very high level people that are in position to elevate others. My dad was jailed in Hattiesburg, Mississippi for voter registration rights. And so he was with 9 other white clergy. He was, African-American man, but showed me that, groups can work together. And then when I came with my own challenge, working my first job at Ridgeland Common Pool, they would not make me a lifeguard, even though I could outswim all the lifeguards that were there. I was made a bicycle guard. And the only reason I wanted that job was because I had my eyes set on this beautiful black and gold Schwinn Continental 10-speed bike that was in the proprietor's window. I wanted that bike. And I worked all summer to make my income, to earn my wage to get that bicycle, which was just shy of $300 at that time. And the proprietor he was so enamored and he was so happy when I collected the bike and I paid him the final payment on it. He gave me a lock for it, and he was like, "Man, this kid's worked all summer for this bike." And I go across Ridgeland Avenue as I'm riding home to my street, my block, and I get right across Ridgeland, and I hear, "Woo!" And the rollers are behind me, and the over the loudspeaker, the police officer says, "Where'd you steal that bike from?" Now, it didn't even occur. I'm young. I'm probably about 14, 15 years old. It doesn't even occur when I'm processing it later on that he's making an assumption that is based upon a premise of a life that he has led, not my life, right? And in fact, Mr. Jones, I was across the street, he was working on his car, he owns permanent properties and everything. He came out and kind of accosted the police officer and said, "This kid has been working for this bike all summer long." And this is the first time I've seen him ride it, so he probably just picked it up today. So the point of the story, the diary of the story, is I could get, froggy. I could, lip off and mouth off, but I stayed in a state of curiosity. So this officer that came to stop me, he didn't know what was on the inside of my head. And I knew at that point, even at 14, 15 years old, that this person had more negativity going on in them than I had in me. I understood that he's the one with the problem, not me, because I'm good. I did nothing wrong. So I don't have to defend truth. Right. I can articulate that now. That's what the process I was going through then was all about. And we don't have to defend the truth because there's only one truth, right? And so if you know it, if you're on that side of truth, there's no reason to defend it. So you can keep your mouth shut. So that officer left me with a warning. Be careful where you ride your bike. Why? It's my bike.
Yeah.
Why do I have to be careful? And so, I just ride where I want to ride. I rode all the way out to, I never let that stop me from blocking me from what I needed to get done, what I needed to do, because I knew I was on the side of right. I was on the side of truth.
There's a million ways to tell a lie, but there's only one way to tell the truth.
Right. You got to always defend a lie.
Right. You got to defend it. You always got to remember it too.
Got to remember it, defend it. You don't have to defend the truth. The truth is there. It's just happened.
Did that experience affect your outlook on people?
I think it did a little bit for a while. Because you can play down that road. I don't think long term. I think what it showed me is that there are some people. I mean, when I think about it now, I didn't then, but when I think about it now, I said, here is a man that was probably 28 years old, maybe 30 years of age, and he's terrified of a 14-year-old kid on a bicycle. Terrified. If he wasn't terrified of me and being in the community on my block, he would never have stopped me. So he's got the issue, not me. And we see this play out all the time. If someone is topping you or trying to block you or doesn't want you to advance forward, they are threatened by what you bring to the table. So you don't have to expound on that power, because it's embedded inside of you. And no one can release it. No one can take that out and take that away from you. And I think that's what I learned as I teach, young people, as I share with executives, especially like in the disability community. I'm an amputee, as you stated. People are looking for permission to do things, and I'm saying just do it. Just go and grab it. As long as it's ethical, not hurting anybody, and it's going to cause elevation. Yeah, go ahead and knock yourself out. I don't subscribe to, doing things just because it's on your mind to do and it's going to hurt somebody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if it's ethical, it's not going to hurt somebody. It's elevating humanity. It's breathing life into other people. Do it. Don't hold yourself back. Don't wait for permission to go forward.
No, I love the "Just Do It" slogan. Every time I think of "Just Do It," it's Nike. Nike always pops up in my mind. Just do it.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. So, like, growing up, did you play any sports?
Yeah. In high school, I played a little bit of football, but I wasn't a baller. I wasn't a football guy. I was too afraid to get hit. So I would catch the ball because I was fast, and then I would run out of bounds because I don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And I kind of settled in on track. So I wound up doing track, and made a pretty good career of track and field based upon somebody else's choice. So what that teaches me, when I was coaching track and field down at the local high school here, is I would let the kids pick their own discipline. You tell me what you want to do. I will never tell you what it is that you want. Now, if you want me some advice, that's a different story. If you want to lean in, and we go through a session and we try to identify what your best talent is. That's a different question.
And what was your events when you were running track?
In track, I did triple jump, long jump, high hurdles, and then the relay teams. Yeah.
And what was your life like after, high school? What was that next chapter for you?
I had a school recruit me, Arkansas, and they were part of the old Southwest Conference at the time. They hadn't migrated over to the SEC. And when I got down there, it was absolutely amazing. I didn't like my first year there, which I was told I wouldn't like my first year there. But after that, everything grew on me. It was very much slower pace of life, and I really enjoyed my time at Arkansas.
Got you. And you were you like an All-American during your time there? Did you win like all conference?
Yeah, several all conferences and one All American honor because three All American honors. So once in the relay team, two on the relay teams, and one in the high hurdles.
And what was your next chapter after college?
So college was interesting because I had this kind of dual career path, and I was, in one sense, I was the athlete, but in the other sense, I was in the communications department, and I was singing for this our number one magical choir on the campus. So I had a lot of different ways I could kind of spin the business, so to speak. But I chose going to the United States Army as the choice afterward. Why? Because they had a world-class athlete program. It's a soldier program that allows a student athlete to train 4 years prior to the next Olympic Games. And I had 2 more years left. I got on this program and I was ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so you're participating in this program, and then the Olympic trials come. What year was it when the Olympic trials had came?
Yeah, so it was 94. I was on the World Class Athlete program. I was about to get back onto that program again. And the wind was blowing hard and haze, and I just dislocated. I severed the artery on a landing, dislocating my knee, and 7 days later I was an amputee. And the right leg come up to the hurdle, then the left leg will come up. Left leg, then right leg, then left leg. And sometimes in hurdles, as in life, you just want things to stay the same, but the wind's blowing hard. I misstepped the hurdle and dislocated my knee. That's what happened. And so 7 days later, I was left with a choice: keep the leg and use a walker wheelchair for the rest of my life, or amputate the leg and use a prosthesis for the rest of my life. So that was my choice. As sometimes young folks and even the people I talk to that are more seasoned, they don't think about what's coming next. So we only play in the moment. And so when the next moment arrives, we're not ready for that next moment. So I say, get out there, make sure you're making inroads, make sure you're talking to people, make sure you're with if you go foreign nationals, your foreign trips, you're with the embassy people, right?
So what was most difficult for you? Was it the physical recovery or the mental reset?
It's more the mental, because I didn't have a group to heal with, right? It was pretty much on my own, doing my own work, and I never wanted that again. I always wanted somebody, something to walk along this journey with me during that very arduous time. My cousin would come over every once in a while. She lived in San Antonio. My wife was there. She came one time as well while I was incapacitated. So it's I think you just need to have those folks in your corner to help you elevate, to move through.
Absolutely. You definitely gotta have your tribe in your life. So whether it's a people who are gonna uplift you, people who are gonna be there for you. So that's good.
Absolutely.
And was there ever a moment you questioned everything and you wanted to give up?
I don't know if I would phrase it as giving up. I would phrase it as very early on, I could see that the amputation and the pain was going to get worse before it got better. I could just tell it was coming on. And I knew I was going to have to really dive deep or dig in deep, not for just myself, but for the tribe I was going to have to build around me in order to move the needle forward. So it wasn't until really recently that I probably 2017, unpacked the story well enough that I could share from a stage and that it would actually release people.
What did this whole experience teach you?
We need to get rid of things before we start adding things onto our plate. So take a New Year's resolution and the person wants to lose weight. Well, did you get rid of the cookies out in your closet? Did you get rid of all those sugary drinks that you have in the refrigerator? Or are you going to still keep on doing this and eventually you're just going to be right back to the weight that you once were?
If adversity had a face, like what would you tell it?
Yeah. I would tell it, thank you. Thank you for shaping me into the person I am today.
I know you shared with me last time, said something along the lines of when it came to that moment of adversity, you didn't overcome it.
No. I think oftentimes we think, Justin, that we overcome things, right? And so there's something to be a challenge that needs to be overcome. And I don't necessarily see it like that. And I often use the example of my mom who passed away like 3 years ago. I didn't overcome her death, right? I've learned to adapt and innovate around it and kind of deal with it, but I still have phantom pain that takes me back to those moments in time. Many leaders, State Department heads, presidents, sheikhs in Dubai, they said, how did you overcome the amputation of your left leg? And I said, I didn't. Because had I overcome the amputation, I would have my leg back. And that's a different shift, right? I don't get it back. And we don't get back the things that we've made commitments to. If we think we can get them back, that's what I call the reckoning moment. The reckoning moment is realized or hurdled when you realize you don't get back what you desire to have back after some type of trauma impacts your life. So that reckoning moment is there. And then you move through the revision. You're casting multiple visions of what is possible. And then finally you say, oh yeah, I got that. I can make that. I can make that next jump.
So when would you say it's right for leaders to use the phrase "I overcame"? And what given scenario?
I don't think they ever should use the framing of "I overcame" because I don't think that we ever do. I think I've adapted. I've innovated. One of my words I use now, trademarked, is called irreversible. I went irreversible in everybody. I'm not going back to the way it used to be. I think that's what advances leaders forward in today's day and age.
So would you say like overcoming your fears, is that even a such thing or no?
I don't think that we should entertain fear. The stories that we tell ourselves of a future that has not yet happened. Because if I can tell myself that fear story, I can also share with myself a faith story. I can make the scenario up, whatever I want it to be in the future, because I'm the one in control of the dream. And I think that's the more critical piece. Can you be in that space?
So growing up, did you ever, envision yourself to be in a position you are today as a keynote speaker?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I played cello on stage. My cello's in the background here. I've sung on stage. So the stage it's not an intimidating thing for me. 1,000 people's not intimidating. 5,000 people doesn't intimidate me. What more intimidates me are 12 people in the room.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So we're going to transition and talk more about your mindset and leadership. So John, how do you define leadership? And do you believe everyone is called to be a leader?
So leadership is the ability, in my opinion, to get other people to do what the organizational values say to do. You're able to lead others to get work done. I don't think that's in business leadership. So you're not the one doing all the work. You're the one that has the final decision, generally most of the time, but you're not the one that's actually executing and doing all the work until you empower your people in order to do that. So I think that's one definition of leadership. I believe you can be made into a leader. We see that in the military all the time. Not as great as some other ones. They get to work on that leadership through their basic training, for example. So I think that's important.
So what would you say separates people who bounce back versus people who stay stagnant and stay stuck in the mud?
To the people that stay stuck, you got to make some type of action happen in order to recognize that you're stuck in mud. Because some people, they don't even know they're in the mud, right? Because they're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So they have to be kind of found out, right? We have to begin to help those individuals see that they are truly stuck. Then in the revision, there's multiple visions that are going on at this point. So I'm not going to be an Olympic class athlete. I become a Paralympic athlete. I'm not going to be a military officer. I become a person that creates a military sport program. So you have to begin seeing yourself as that. And then you have to kind of SEO yourself into some of the other things I would say that are often down the road for that. Maybe there's some volunteer work that they can do, right? To get out to put themselves in a position so they can see they're around other people that want to move the needle forward. And so kind of birds of a feather flock together. You want to lift them up. So the ones that are already there, it's really about sustainable change, sustainable excellence. And what do you need to strategically subtract in order to continue forward? Because you're doing the work, you might not be valued for the work, but the work's getting done.
I want to ask you about like time management. Every
Yeah.
yes you give is a no to someone or something. There's people out there that says time management is a thing. There's other people who say no. People that say you can't manage time. Clock is going to continuously run, but you can manage your priorities. So what's your take on time management?
I think people, they don't break words down, right? Let me give you an example. The first around time, there's two words in the Greek for time. One is chronos, time, that's measuring the clock. The other is kairos, time, those what we call dumb luck, circumstances aligned. I don't call anything dumb luck. I call it divine appointments that are happening all around us all the time. And so I went to Singapore, like, for example, I went to Singapore. It's a 36-hour flight, take a shower, go down to the train station. I'm having trouble with my ticket, so I got to go back to the hotel. And a woman yells out, "Are you John Register?" I'm halfway around the world. Who knows me? And they don't even know I'm here at the Bellagio. I mean, it's crazy. So I think that what happened is with that woman that stopped me, I was supposed to have dinner with her and her husband, who's a friend of mine that lived in Singapore. So that time is called Kairos time. It was a divine appointment that happened. It's not dumb luck. I don't believe that there's ever dumb luck. You're just coming in Kairos. But for your audience that thinks that way, I would just do something that Renee Rodriguez said, is to exchange the word time for the word life. When someone says, I don't have enough life. Do I, that person's wasting my time. That person's wasting my life. So we put the word time in there and we take out the word time, amputate the word time, insert the word life. We begin to see what the true priorities are. Do I want to spend my life with this individual? 15 minutes of my life.
I never heard it phrased like that, but when you think about it, it makes you be more self-aware of your commitments and who you're giving your time and attention to.
Absolutely.
So that's good. So as a leader, how do you keep pride under your feet as you continue to grow as an individual or grow within your organization?
I think it's understanding that you can't do everything. And there's realization that will happen at different parts of the growth journey for a leader. And when I interview people, the number one thing they usually say is they have to when I say what they have to amputate in order to elevate, they usually say ego, right? They got to get rid of some ego. And that's good. I mean, at least they've identified that as something that they must strategic. And I think that's a really good place to be. Because when you amputate that ego, you open yourself up to see the value of other people. And so that's what I see. I know what I'm great at for my team, but I want my team to backfill the stuff I'm not great at. And we have a meeting every Monday so we can share those insights one with each other, and we can act faster to things that might be coming up.
What does that tangibly look like? Amputating your ego, like what does being humble look like?
So I think what it looks like is you're not the one that is like talking in the room the most. You're the one that's listening the most. You are checking in on people, so you're doing the walk around, going to people's cubicles and just saying hello to folks as the boss, as the CEO. I think it looks like getting the company out on a trip to support like a food bank. I think those are some of the things that I would start with.
Yeah, leadership doesn't have to be loud.
Nope. It can be very small voice.
So let's talk about you being a keynote speaker and public speaking. How did that transition happen for you to, be a keynote speaker?
I'm a storyteller, and my story is around the amputation and what I learned from that. And I do it. That piece is kind of theatrical because it's my signature story. And how I got started in it is I went to a total army in recruiting in Houma, Louisiana. And the student athletes there, they asked if I would come out with them because I needed to understand how to correctly say the name crawfish. I was saying crayfish. Down south, they don't say crayfish, they say crawfish. So they took me out to this nice place, all you can eat crawfish that were there. And at the school, I would introduce the world-class athletes. And I would do these little dad jokes. I would say, I know you think my favorite restaurant's IHOP, right? So it's kind of these fun little quips. And the principals called the recruiters because they were saying, who was that one-legged guy that was down here? The kids are still talking about him. Then they asked if I could make an hour presentation to come back and speak to all their students. I said, yeah, sure. And they asked me, well, how much do you charge for that? And I said, oh, I will get back to you on that. Because I didn't know you could make a living doing this.
Yeah.
And so I did a side hustle for, since 94 to maybe 2012. That's my side hustle. I got approached by Meredith Elliott Powell, part of the National Speaker Association, to serve on the board of directors. And I said yes to it. I said yes to the opportunity. And it's been an amazing ride with NSA. It's been incredible, actually, because I think they have all of the stuff that's inside their package, inside their vault, that gives everything soup to nuts on how to run a professional speaking business.
In the beginning, did you have any mentors or coaches who helped you develop your public speaking skills?
I watched a lot of public speakers, but no one really stands out as the coach except for Doug Stevenson. He was a great coach. He helped pull the story out of me. Then Kat Coppett, who's up in Albany, New York, she helped me with organizing the content in sound bites, instructional design. So that's what I have right now.
So as a speaker, connecting with your audience is important. And what would you say are, 3 ways you would connect with your audience while you were speaking?
So one way I connect with the audience is I have an activity. The activity is called the I Can Change experiment. I just did it a couple of days ago. It was you get the audience to stand up, face each other, take a step closer, look each other up and down, turn around, change one thing about your appearance, turn back around, guess the one thing that was changed, sit back down. So it's an easy activity, but the debrief is where the bread and butter is. So the first question I invite them to answer is, what did I invite you to do first? And inevitably, no one gets it right the first time when they yell it out. And so somebody eventually gets it and says, stand up. I said, absolutely, stand up. You've got your winner. And then I'll say, like I'm in on it, how many said to yourself, when I asked you to stand up, invite you to stand up, how many said to yourself, oh my gosh, another freaking speaker is going to ask me to get up out my comfort zone. Just let me stay here, stand here. I just don't want to go anyways. And everybody starts laughing because a lot of them are thinking that same thing. So
Right.
the point then becomes, if you're resisting just standing up, what do you think your customers are doing when you introduce a new product? And they get it. Right? They see it, and I go through the whole process of whatever their widget is they're selling. And so they like it because it's no longer a one-directional conversation. We're having a dialogue.
That's powerful. I like how you said it's not one directional and having a dialogue, because having a dialogue, it creates that relational element.
How many times have you seen a speaker just go for 45 minutes and just all they're doing is one-directional conversation? They think that's a keynote. I challenge it. I don't think that's a keynote. I think that you give your information out for an hour straight and it's just all you, and you may ask one question to the audience, but you answer before they even give you the answers back.
That's good. And I think, like, with the dialogue structuring, in the lens of the audience, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
So how do you handle the pressure as a speaker? Like, do you get nervous when you get on the stage? How do you control those nerves? How do you channel it?
Yeah. Here's why that's a great question, is because the number one or number two fear is the fear of public speaking. And there's a reason for that. And after studying this, what it boils down to for me is that people are fearful because of how they're going to look in front of their peers. Do they actually have the information, the knowledge, the skills, and ability to deliver it? The other reason they're thinking about it is, and it goes to self, right? I'm thinking about what it is myself is delivering. And if I'm only thinking on myself, I'm going to get nervous because I'm inviting the people to, the nervousness comes from inviting people in to my world instead of me going into their world. So you got 1,000 eyeballs on you instead of your 2 eyeballs on everybody else. Your eyeballs on you as well. So that's where the nervousness comes in, because you want to do a good job. But how many times have you ever been in a situation, on a keynote speak, Justin, where you said in your mind when you came into that room and that you saw that speaker come out, I want that person to fail. We never say it.
Right.
We don't want that person to fail. We want to get the information from them. We want to learn something from them. And so if we're nervous, that's really internal to us. So do I get nervous? Yeah, I get nervous every once in a while, but I get nervous not if I do, it's that reason. I'm focused too much on me. And so I have to shift it. And I got some tools I use to shift that language out. But am I prepared for the moment? I'm always constantly working on my craft. I don't want to do a canned speech. I want to be able to flow in the moment. That's why I say, for people that want to get in the business, you want to join a Toastmasters, you want to join the National Speakers Association, and you want to join an improv troupe, because nothing will ever be the same. And then I say, you read the book, The Referable Speaker by Michael Port, to understand how the game actually is played and how it's worked, because there are rules to playing this game.
And so what is a common mistake a lot of people make when it comes to public speaking?
This is for people who are trying to become professional speakers. They have a story, but they haven't extracted everything from their story to make a point to their story that the audience can relate to. What do I mean? I'm an amputee. I got an interesting story about that, but I don't know how to relate it, because the audience, they don't want to become an amputee to learn my lesson. So I have to begin to put that process in place so they don't have to learn my lesson. I want to take my story so deep and relate it to something that they are going through right now. So that's one. And the second thing the speaker market is getting flooded with right now are a lot of people that think you can make, tens of thousands of dollars like overnight. That unless you're like a celebrity speaker or a basketball player, like, someone that's well known, you probably you're gonna be going through this like I had to go through it, right? You're gonna create a great speech, and the only way that you know that your speech is hot and hitting is that you get a stage side lead afterward. Stage side lead as you do your speech. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, Justin, that was the best speech I ever heard. I have this other organization. Would you please come speak for them? How much do you charge for that?" And that's the pitch deck. That's the whole thing. And so that's how you get on more and more stages, is you just keep going to their friends. So I'm always constantly doing that, working on my craft, and as well as working on how I get booked and hired.
So what would you say is the secrets to being a great public speaker? You said storytelling, that's one. What are the other elements?
Being a great listener. I mean, from my standpoint, that's paramount as well. I mean, we can have all the great stories we want to, but if we missed the mark, we didn't make it for the audience. All they take away is a great story, right? There was the CEO of the one I just spoke for, AP Insider. So he wrote me a LinkedIn note. In over 20 years with the SAP Insider, we have never had a standing ovation for a keynote until John Register's session. He absolutely delivered. So I mean, I can't buy from a CEO credibility like that, right? So that's the other piece. You got to be able to have the credibility and the street cred, and you get that by asking people to validate what you did for them on stage.
That's good. All right, so we're gonna do a lightning round question.
All right.
What is your go-to song before a speech?
Wow, it kind of depends. But you know what? My walkout music is called "Move Your Feet." My social media person, she created it. So she's an artist, created that, as well as "Go and Inspire." That's my theme song. She created that one too. So I listen to that. Those two.
If your life had a slogan, what would it be?
Go forth, inspire your world.
A book that changed your life.
Still changing my life. The Bible. Those are 66 books. And the first book I read that shifted and changed me was the autobiography of Muhammad Ali.
Discipline or motivation?
Discipline.
So when a clock hits 0, how does John Register want to be remembered as?
The life breather. He breathed life in everybody. He uplifted folks. He elevated those around him.
Well said. John, it was a pleasure to have you on here.
Man, pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
This is the Leader Diaries podcast. Remember, your story is a diary worth sharing. And don't forget to be present where your feet are being planted.